Welcome everybody. I declare the meet open of the OCM of the Shire of Derby West Kimberley, first full council meeting since the October elections 2025. Welcome to everybody in the room, and particular welcome and congratulations to my fellow councillors on your election. In the room, staff-wise, we have the Chief Executive Officer, Wayne Neate, Director of Infrastructure, Tamara Clarkson, the Chief Executive Officer, Jill Brazil, Director of Corporate Services, Luke Lawrence, Director of Community Planning, Maria O'Connell, Coordinator Communications and Media, Ryan Balderson, Executive Assistant to the CEO, Kylie Tame, Manager Development Services, and Telia Riley, Coordinator Governance and Risk. And councillors, on my right we have the Deputy Shire President, Carissa O'Meara. We have Trish or Patricia Galt. Councillor Trish Galt, Councillor Adam Cornish, Councillor Jeff Davis. On my left we have Councillor Val Ross, Councillor Leah Umberguy and Councillor Laurie Shaw. You may wonder why I went through that, but that's because we are live streaming, so please remember that as we progress, and that's the reason why we use the microphones, so that everything is picked up for the minutes and is recorded suitably from there. Moving to the agenda. I start with the Acknowledgement of Country. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Shire of Derby West Kimberley acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout the Shire and the continued connection to the lands, waters and community. The Shire would like to pay our respects to the people, the cultures and the elders past and present, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal people. I read the disclaimer. So the meeting will be video recorded and live streamed on the Shire's YouTube channel, with the exception of confidential items and periods of adjournment as determined by the presiding member. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their voice and or image may be live streamed to the public. Recordings will also be made available on the Shire's YouTube channel and official website following the meeting. The official record of the meeting will be written minutes kept in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and any relevant regulations. Also in attendance is Councillor Elliot Money, who is online, as you can see on the screen behind me. Declaration of opening, announcement of visitors, which I have already done. Attendance by electronic means, as I have already done, is item 4. Item 5, application for leaves of absence. Are there any councillors that are aware that they might need a leave of absence for upcoming council meetings, mainly the ordinary council meeting? So just a brief explanation, councillors, and for those who are unaware, if you know you're going to be away in the future, it's a requirement of the Local Government Act that you put in a leave of absence 1 calendar month or 1 council meeting before you take that, have to take that leave of absence. Item 6, responses to previous public questions taken on notice. I don't believe we have any, CEO. Public time, item 7. 7.1, public question time, and 7.2, public statements. I am aware that Mr. White, Pastor White in the room, would like to make a brief statement. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Peter. Well, it's so good to be back here, but I feel like I'm sitting in the wrong place. My main aim to come here was just to share a few words that I had shared to me before I became a councillor. So I really would like to encourage all the new councillors, especially as there's only 2 that were existing, And the words of encouragement I got was, when you come onto council, I'm hoping you guys are all excited about it, but when you come onto council, if you leave after your 4 or 2 year term, you can actually look in the town and see there's something you've been involved in that's better than what it was when you came here. You'll know you've achieved something. And I carried that for 20 years, as I thought I was only going to do a 4 year term. And there are many things and challenges we had in that 20 years, which I really enjoyed. Some of them are really tough. So I just want to give you some encouragement that after all that time, it's one of the best things I reckon I was involved in the town. And I'm hoping that as it's a completely new council virtually with new challenges, that it's going to be an exciting period for you. As a pastor, I'll naturally be praying for you all and hoping the best for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated. Item 8, disclosure of interests. And I will take my time to read some of this stuff in the agenda that probably doesn't need to be read at every council meeting, but it's just so everyone around the table and in the room is aware of why we're doing things. Division 6, Subdivision 1 of the Local Government Act 1995. Care should be taken by council members to ensure that a financial impartiality, proximity interests are declared and that they refrain from voting on any matter which is considered to come within the ambit of the Act. Having said that, we move to item 8.1, Declaration of Financial Interest, and I believe we have one. And that is from Councillor Adam Cornish. It relates to agenda item 14.1, the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee. The nature of the interest is financial, and the reason is Adam's wife is an applicant for one of those positions on the Audit and Risk Committee. Therefore, Adam, I'll ask you to leave the room if you wouldn't mind, please, and we'll call you back in when we get to that item, and then we'll call you back in. Thanks, Adam. The other item under Declaration of Proximity Interest, there's nil, but under Declaration 8.3 of Impartiality Interest, we have one, and is from Councillor Valerie Ross. It's in reference to agenda item 15.1, facility fee waiver. I do PWD for the event. The nature of the interest is impartiality, and the reason is her daughter is the author of that item. Thank you, Valerie. Moving on, petitions, deputations, presentations and submissions, we have nil. Confirmation of previous minutes, and the recommendation is at the bottom of page 7, councillors, that the members of the special council meeting held Monday 20th of October 2025 at the council chambers be confirmed. Can I have a mover for that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor O'Meara. Seconded, Councillor Davis. Are there any questions, comments in regards to the confirmation of the minutes? Okay, can I ask for everyone in agreement to raise their hand, please, in agreement? So it is, Carissa, put your hand up. Thank you. Sorry, and I'm not chatting, Carissa, but we do need to remember we are live streaming, so hands do need to go up, visibly up. Thank you. The item is moved 9.0. Oh, my apologies. I read the special meeting first, so I will do the previous one for September now. And that recommendation reads that the minutes of the ordinary, and in brackets, Commissioner Council meeting held on Thursday the 18th of September 2025 at the Council Chambers, Derby, be confirmed. Under the bottom of that, it's got noting on advice received from the Chief Executive Officer and senior staff who were in attendance at the meeting. This is an accurate record of those proceedings. Can I have a mover for that item, please? Councillor Shaw, seconded Councillor O'Meara. Any questions, clarifications? Nil. Can all those in favour raise their hand? The item has passed 9.0. Thank you. Item 11, announcements by presiding person, which is indeed myself. And my habit, councillors, is that I endeavour to provide a report to our monthly OCM so that councillors have a good understanding of what the President has been doing in the course of the preceding month. So the President report to Council for this OCM is as follows. I take this opportunity to welcome councillors and members of the public to this, the first ordinary council meeting post-election 2025. As councillors are aware, the past week has been busy working with the CEO and staff to swear in and induct President and councillors and brief everyone on current activities of the Shire. In addition to this, I've had numerous meetings with our CEO and other partners of the Shire to ensure the smooth transition from the Commissioner management process of council business. These meetings have included meeting via telephone with Peter Kerr, the CEO for Mount Gibson Iron. Mr Kerr provided an update on the recent announcement of the sudden cessation of mining operations on Coolin Island due to a significant rockfall in the main pit area. Mount Gibson Iron have undertaken surveys and safety investigations regarding this event, and unfortunately the result of these surveys has concluded the extent of the rockfall, safety concerns and the cost of $40 million means that they will not restart mining. Ongoing shipping of the remaining stockpile will occur until around the end of November, and care and maintenance work will keep about 75 personnel on the island, and rehabilitation will commence in accordance with the requirement of the Department of Mines and agreements with Dumbulmungarri Aboriginal Corporation. Essentially, the early closure brings forward the planned wind down of mining on Coolin Island by 9 months. The loss of employment for the majority of the workforce, particularly at this time of the year, is very difficult for our local people, and I've urged Mr Kerr to do everything possible to work with others in the industry to offer employment where possible, including the proposed future mining operations on their Tanami gold mine tenement. There will be ongoing discussions with Mount Gibson Iron in relation to rehabilitation of port areas as they withdraw from operations on Coolin Island. Second meeting was with the CEO and myself. We met with Brett Angwin, President of the Derby Chamber of Commerce, and discussed continuing in-kind support for the Derby Chamber of Commerce and preliminary arrangements for the Kimberley Economic Forum, which is to be hosted by the Chamber in Derby next year. I conclude my report by offering my thanks on behalf of Council and Shire to the many members of our community who cast their votes either early, at the remote polling places and in Fitzroy Crossing and Derby on Saturday the 18th of October. We look forward to working with our community in the future. Thank you. Move to the next item, which is recommendations. Number 12, recommendations and reports of committee. There are nil. Item 13, executive services 13.1. Which is the end of year closure at 2025-26. Recommendation is on page 14. 11, my apologies, I've jumped one. Getting used to the new system. Picking up 2 pages, that's fine. It is on page 11 and reads as follows. That Council 1 endorses the proposed closure of Shire operations from Monday 22nd December 2025 to Monday 5th of January 2026, as outlined in Table 1 of this report. 2, notes the Derby and Fitzroy Crossing waste management sites are closed and no curbside collection will occur on the Christmas Day public holiday. 3, notes the Derby Memorial Swimming Pool opening and closing times. 4, acknowledges that employees will utilise annual or accrued leave or leave without pay for the above periods which are not public holidays. And 5, notes the above closures are subject to a contingency plan outlining employees required to ensure essential services continue to be provided to the public. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Davis, seconded Councillor O'Meara. Are there any questions or clarifications in relation to that item? Councillor Davis.
Just on the notes, what is seen as essential services?
Through the Chair.
Yes.
In the event of an emergency, there will be staff available to manage that. For example, traffic management, if there is a storm and trees come down across the road. Animal management, so the rangers, EHO, and myself as the Chief Executive Officer is on call 24/7 during that entire time.
Any other questions or clarifications? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hands, please. Carried 9-0. Thank you. We move to item 13.2, which is adopting council meeting dates for 2026. I'll just read the summary on this one, councillors. Local governments are required to give local public notice of the dates, times and places at which their ordinary council meetings and their committee meetings are to be held for the next 12 months. This report sets out proposed dates for the 2026 calendar year, taking into consideration other relevant commitments of council. It also invites council to consider allocating, if it wishes to, have any of its meetings held using electronic means. Recommendation is on page 14. Start again, 15. And the recommendation reads: 1, approves the following ordinary council meeting, OCM and Audit and Risk Improvement Committee, dates and times and locations for the 2026 calendar year. 2, approves the following 2026 council meetings be allocated electronic meetings. A, includes dates up to 50% of the allowable cap, or nil. And 3, direct the Chief Executive Officer advertise the approved dates by public notice.
Through the Chair, may I please clarify that 2.A is written as we have before, but that may not be clear to council members, that the option is includes dates up to 50% cap, and we've not previously allocated dates for those to be electronic means. Or nil. So if you choose to have none of the meetings electronically, but it's a up to 50% cap, or nil is the option.
Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation, please? Moved Councillor Ross, seconded Councillor Umbergai. Any questions or clarifications? Councillor Davis.
The Audit and Risk Committees, of which there are 4, are all scheduled in Derby. Is there a chance that one of those could be scheduled for Fitzroy?
See ya.
Through the Chair, absolutely. We can look at those scheduling as we've done this year when we had a number of changes to our schedules. If council decides to adopt these dates as they are, we can then investigate and come back to you, and then we just have to put another public notice advertising the updated date when it's chosen to suit the members of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee.
And sorry, one further point of clarification. point 2A again. I didn't quite understand what you said.
Previously, council members have endorsed 50% of the meetings can be attended electronically. This is important for if council members are travelling. For example, at the moment, Councillor Money is not able to be in the room. And so this, by point 2 of the recommendation, is to ensure that there is an option for councillors to attend the meetings electronically if they can't be in either Derby, Fitzroy, or when we go on country to the remote Aboriginal community. So, and it's 50% is the cap. That's in the legislation. You can't do more than 50% of the meetings online.
So just as part, just again clarification on that. So do we have to make a decision as to whether it's nil or 50? Because if we pass that motion all as one, there is, at the moment, there's an option.
Through the chair, yes, just choose either of those, up to 50% or nil, and then that will form part of that recommendation.
So how do you propose to do that?
I'll read the option the first way with 50%, and if anyone objects to that, we'll go back to the discussion. Is that? Yeah. Yep. So to approve, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so just a point of process. Councillor Ross, you moved the recommendation. Are you happy to be that on the assumption that it, on the basis that it will be the 50% cap?
Correct.
Thank you. Yep. So I will now put that to the vote with the basis being 50%. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. Carried 9-0. We move to item 13.3, Derby Port Transfer of Management back to State Government, which is the Kimberley Ports Authority. I'll read the summary. The Shire reviewed the cost and likely benefits of continuing to retain the lease from the Shire, from the State Government of the Derby Port. The continued Shire control of the lease has significant cost and risk issues that ratepayers and future budgets must recognise and accommodate. It is important to note that Derby is the only port in Western Australia operated by local government. The purpose of this report is to present a draft agreement between Kimberley Ports Authority, KPA, and the Shire of Derby West Kimberley for information and to progress for endorsement. The Chief Executive Officer has consulted Kimberley Ports Authority on the draft agreement that recommends that the Shire surrender its existing lease over the port. This will see all ongoing operations, maintenance and liabilities be the responsibility of the Kimberley Port Authority, while retaining on behalf of the community certain important community access provisions, along with Shire involvement in future port use decisions. Move to the recommendation, which is on page 21, and reads that Council 1 endorse the in-principle position that direct management and control of Derby Port should be conditionally returned to State Government, Kimberley Port Authority, in lieu of the Shire. 2, notes the contents of the draft agreement, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to continue negotiations with Kimberley Ports Authority, terms that A, conditionally surrenders the current lease of Derby Port from the Kimberley Ports Authority to the Shire. B, the Chief Executive Officer is to ensure terms that secure reasonable continued community and recreation use of the jetty and boat ramps. C, Shire involvement in future trade development options for the Derby Port, and D, confirm from KPA, Kimberley Port Authority, that all existing sublease or formal use agreements on the Derby Port land will be novated across to the existing users. 4, direct the Chief Executive Officer to facilitate community consultation on community and recreation use of the jetty and boat ramps. And 5, direct the Chief Executive Officer to present final agreement for council adoption. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Moved Councillor Ross, seconded Councillor Cornish. Questions or clarifications? There being none, I put it to the vote. Apologies. Elliot, sorry. Did you have a question?
Just through the chair. I did actually have a conversation with somebody who uses the port jetty a fair bit about community access. Do they need to go through Port Authority in terms of the liability? If they're doing activities out there through, a youth services. It was through Recfish. So does that normally go through? I'm not too sure what negotiations happen with people like Recfish who come out and do activities for the Shire out there. But would that now go through the Port Authority?
Through the chair, yes, it will, Councillor Money. The negotiations that the Shire is having with KPA are ensuring that community use is maintained as a priority, and those suggestions will be provided to KPA, and any approvals that need to be sought will be with the Kimberley Ports Authority, who have advised us that they will be having an office in Derby, or a presence in Derby, so it's not disadvantaging the people of Derby.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Councillor Money. I then put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. We move to item 13.4, which is the lease of Hangar One at Derby Airport. Derby Airport, Derby Access Road, amendment to the lease term. Brief summary, councillors. Basically, this item is for council to consider authorising the changing of the terms of the lease for Hangar One at the Derby Airport to 10 plus 10 years, up from the 5 plus 5 years. The recommendation is on page 23 and reads as follows. 1, existing lease recommendation that council by absolute majority 1, endorse the assignment of the lease for Hangar One Derby Airport to Frontier Helicopters, and 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign and make final amendments to the lease for Hangar One Derby Airport with Frontier Helicopters for 10 years with the option of an additional 10 years. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Davis, seconded. Councillor O'Meara. Questions or clarifications? There being none, I put it to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Thank you. We move to item 13.5. Appointment to Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee in WALGA Zone. I will read the summary. Councillors, following the outcome of the ordinary election on 18 October 2025. Yeah, apologies, Adam. This is where you part company. Councillor Cornish to be noted as leaving the room. Is that right? We call him in then.
Through the chair, may I just confirm, Councillor Cornish, will you be interested in nominating for the WALGA, Kimberley Zone and Kimberley Regional Group proxy positions? Yep, in that case, what I recommend is that we will split the recommendation into three. So we'll deal with the first recommendation for Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. So if you still leave the room, we'll take that motion and then we'll call you back in and we'll reset to do recommendation 2 and 3. Thank you.
Organised. Okay, councillors.
Does that make sense? Just read only.
Yep, absolutely. So I will read the first part of the recommendation as the CEO has indicated. And I'm reading that council by absolute majority appoints the following memberships to the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. This is for councillors' appointments.
Correct.
So I'm calling for councillors to nominate on the Audit and Risk Committee, please. By show of hands, Councillor Galt, Councillor Ross, Councillor Davies, myself and Councillor O'Meara. Is there anyone else that wants to be on there? Councillor Money, you would like to be on there? That means, councillors, we will need to have a vote on it. Have we got the capacity for our usual ballot? Okay. Happy to. Councillors, in the interest of smooth operation and everything else, I'm quite happy to not sit on the Audit and Risk Committee. I'm confident in the councillors who have nominated. Councillor Davis.
So am I. Up to you. I think it's mostly more important that you're there.
Okay, so if Councillor Davis is happy to stand down, then thank you, Councillor Davis. So, yep, the 5 I'm putting to the recommendation at this point, councillors, is we have Councillor Galt, Councillor Ross, Councillor O'Meara, McCumsty, Councillor O'Meara and Councillor Money. Yep. Can I have a mover for that recommendation? Councillor Galt, seconded Councillor Umberguy. Any further clarification on that required? No, thank you. I put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 8-1. 8-0. 8-0. Thank you. Yes, if you wouldn't mind, Wayne, ask Councillor Cornish to return to the room. Yep, do I need to let Adam know what the result of the vote was? No? Okay. So, councillors, we move on with part 2 of the recommendation, and that is that council, by absolute majority, appoints the following memberships. Firstly, the WALGA Kimberley Zone. By usual requirement, that is myself and Councillor O'Meara, we are looking for councillor nominations for 2 proxy positions. If you wish to nominate, Councillor Cornish. Councillor Davis?
Just a query. Where are these meetings held?
So, the Kimberley Zone meetings are held around the region or outside of the region, depending on other business happening outside of the region, and that can include things like meetings with WALGA or Local Government Week and those sorts of things, and online as well. Yep. 2 nominations for proxy. I might just explain, sorry, if I can just briefly, a little bit further. So the President and the Deputy attend these occasions, as you'll find with the second one we're going to, the third one, sorry. The process is the President is the voting delegate. The Deputy attends these meetings, and both the President and the Deputy contribute to the meetings and forward the position of our Shire. Anyone attending, a councillor can attend as an observer, but you don't get to actually engage in the meeting. And the proxy positions are the backup for the President and the Deputy, basically. It makes sense? Yep. And so I call, Councillor Davis.
One more. How much do those two overlap?
Sorry, they don't. Generally speaking, the Kimberley zone and the Kimberley regional group happen at the same time nearly all the time. So, okay. Yep, so just process-wise, what I need is a mover and a seconder, but don't I need the
Nominations
first? Yeah. Can I have the two nominations, please? Councillor Cornish, Councillor Galt. Councillor Money, are you? No. Okay. All those in favour? Sorry, I'm putting the motion first, the recommendation, if I can.
Through the chair, my apologies. So the correct process is call for nominations, mover and seconder, ask questions. Unfortunately, we didn't follow that process, and so I would recommend that we start recommendation 2 again.
Yep.
From scratch to avoid any confusion moving forward.
Absolutely.
So there are 2 proxy positions available for the WALGA Kimberley zone, and then we will move to recommendation 3, where there are 2 recommendations for the Kimberley regional group.
So, recommendation that Council by absolute majority appoints the following memberships to the WALGA Kimberley zone. Confirming President McCumpsty and Deputy President Councillor O'Meara. Can I have nominations for the 2 proxy positions, please? Councillor Ross, Councillor Galt, Councillor Cornish. Are there any others? So we... Yeah, so the choice is the obvious one. We can vote on this, or the councillors want to, does anyone want to wait and do something else on this, or what's the preference? Quite happy to go either way councillors want to go. Councillor Ross.
I'm happy to wait and do the regional group.
Okay.
Nominate for that. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go through this again.
I'll just through the chair, all councillors will be provided a copy of the agenda and an opportunity to attend the meetings and have an opportunity to liaise with the President and the Deputy before they attend the meeting. I, as the CEO, also attend that meeting and as an observer, both zone and Kimberley regional group. So these are not your only opportunities to participate in the decision making for the zone or the KRG.
Yep. So the current situation is under the absolute majority appoints the following memberships. As I said, President Peter McCumpsty, Deputy President Councillor O'Meara, and proxy Trish Galt, Councillor Galt and Councillor Cornish. Can I put that to the vote? All that? That's right.
Yep,
You told me to put it to a vote.
I know, I said that, sorry.
We're getting there. Councillors, can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Davis. Seconded, Councillor O'Meara. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried 9-0. So we move to the third part of the recommendation, and that is that council by absolute majority appoints the following memberships to the Kimberley Regional Group. Members are President McCumpsty, Deputy President Councillor O'Meara. I have 2 proxy positions. Can I have nominations, please? Councillor Umberguy, Councillor Ross. Yes? Any further? Okay. Can I have a mover? Councillor O'Meara. Councillor Cornish is seconding that. All those in favour, please raise your right hands. Or left hands. Where did that come from? Carried 9-0. Right, we move to Corporate Services Councillors, Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, appointment of independent members. Councillor Cornish is leaving the room appropriately. Thank you, Councillor Cornish. The recommendation, councillors, applications 1 and 2, which are confidential, that council by absolute majority appoints applicant 1 as the independent chair of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee for a 2-year term expiring on the 16th of October 2027, and 2, appoints applicant 2 as the independent deputy chair of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee for a 2-year term expiring on 16th of October 2027. And I just read the note for the benefit of those online and the public, and that is that the names of the independent chair and deputy chair will be recorded in the minutes following the meeting. The councillors do have those names in their confidential agenda. Can I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor O'Meara, seconded. Councillor Davis. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. Wayne, would you like to ask Councillor Cornish to rejoin us, please? Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Item 14.2, review of local laws. The recommendation is contained on page 71 and reads as follows. That Council 1 directs the Chief Executive Officer to provide public notice stating that A, the Shire proposes to review the below local laws, being Bushfire Brigades 2001, Cemeteries 2001, Dogs 2001, Extractive Industries 2001, Local Government Property 2001, Health 1999, Standing Orders 2001, Activities on Thoroughfares and Trading in Thoroughfares and Public Places 2001, and Parking 2023. B, a copy of the local laws may be inspected or obtained at the Shire offices or from its website, and C, submissions about the local laws may be made to the Shire before a day to be specified in the notice, being a day that is not less than 6 weeks after the notice is given. 2, notes that the Chief Executive Officer will present a report to Council following the consultation period. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor O'Meara, seconded Councillor Davis. Any questions or clarifications? That being so, can I have a show of hands? Sorry. Elliott, Councillor Money?
No, through the chair, I think I might have pushed the hand up button a bit early.
Thank you. Premature. I put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hands, please. Carried 9-0. Item 14.3, extension of loan term to 10 years. Summary for this, councillors. For Council to consider approving an extension of the short-term lending facility of $5 million from Western Australian Treasury Corporation from 3 years to 10 years in accordance with Section 6.20 of the Local Government Act 1995 for the purpose of funding the shortfall of and delayed funds from Disaster Recovery Funding Arrangements WA, known as DRFAAA, for AGRN 1044 ex-Tropical Cyclone Ali and associated Kimberley floods. The recommendation is on page 74. Absolute majority. Recommendation is that Council, by absolute majority, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to 1. Apply for the extension of the current short-term lending facility of $5 million from the West Australian Treasury Corporation in accordance with Section 6.20 in brackets 1 in brackets A of the Local Government Act 1995 for the following purpose: funding the shortfall of and delayed funds from Disaster Recovery Funding Arrangements WA, DRFAAA, WA, for AGRN 1044 ex-Tropical Cyclone Ali and associated Kimberley floods. 2. Change the type of lending facility if required by the West Australian Treasury Corporation. 3. Provide local public notice of the restructure of the existing loan in accordance with Section 6.20 in brackets 2 in brackets A of the Local Government Act 1995. Can I have a mover for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Galt. Seconded, Councillor Umberguy. Any questions or clarifications? Councillor Davis.
Number 2, is there any advice as if there will be a requirement to change the type of lending facility?
Through the chair. We have had initial discussions with WATC, and until we put in our application, they cannot actually tell us if there's a requirement to change the type of facility, but they have given us an indication that it will not be an issue.
Yep. Anything else? Yes, Councillor O'Meara.
So with number 1, so is there a delayed fund still coming into the Shire for the disaster recovery?
Yes, through the chair, there is still some outstanding funds to be received. And in addition to this, 5 million is a drawdown loan, so we can pay back and we can draw it down. And the idea of extending this for the further 10 years is to allow us, in alignment with the long-term financial plan, to try and build those reserves as well at the same time, so we have that cash back when we do need it.
Councillor Money.
Yeah, just through the chair. Can we get a better rate than an indicative rate of 4.48%? Like, that's pretty high. Is that normal? Is that?
I'll hand over to Jill to respond.
Yes, through the chair. WATC is the lending provider that most local governments actually go with. That is the indicative rate at the moment. When we go to apply, it may be hopefully lower, but that is the indicative rate at the moment.
Wow. Okay. That's
Thank you.
Making good money out of disaster relief, isn't it?
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any other questions or clarifications? I put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Yep. We move to item 14.4, Statement of Financial Activity, September 2025. The recommendation, monthly financial report, September 2025, recommendation reads that Council receives the monthly financial management reports incorporating the statement of financial activity for the period ending 30th of September 2025. Do I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Davis. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cornish. Any questions or clarifications, councillors? Nil. I therefore put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hands, please. Carried 9-0. Thank you. Item 14.5, accounts for payment, September 2025. The recommendation is on page 107. And you will note the attachments, credit card reconciliation, September 2025, and list of accounts 2025. The recommendation that Council accepts the list of accounts for September 2025 paid under delegated authority in accordance with Regulation 13 in brackets 1 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996, totalling $2,908,296.24. Can I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Cornish, seconded. Councillor Councillor Ross? Yeah, okay. Any questions or clarifications? Nil. I put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried 9-0. Councillor Money, did you have a question or have you hit the button again? Item 15.1, facility fee waiver, International Day of People with Disability event. Recommendation is on page 131. Letter of submission for facility waiver. Recommendation that Council agree to waive the hire fee to the amount of $10,500 for the use of the Airport Function Centre for the 2025 International Day of People with Disability event, noting the $1,500 bond is applicable and will be refunded upon satisfactory completion of the hire conditions. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Galt, seconded. Councillor O'Meara. Any questions or clarifications, councillors? That being the case, all those in favour, please raise your hands. Carried 9-0. Thank you. Item 16, Development Services, there is nil. Item 17, Infrastructure, there is nil. Item 18, Urgent Business, nil. 19, Matters for which the meeting may be closed, there is nil. Closure of the meeting, 20.1, the date of the next meeting of Council, the next ordinary meeting of Council, will be held at 11 a.m. Thursday, 27 November 2025 at the Gary Ely Adult Education Centre, Fitzroy Crossing. I declare the meeting closed at 6:24.